We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating from the plantation. We built the whole nation. We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating from the plantation. We built the whole nation. We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating from the plantation. We built the whole nation. We are the foundation, bulletproof the hating from the plantation. We built the whole nation.
Yeah, what's good, Foundational Family? I want y'all to check out this Twitter space where the Foundational Family was discussing black political power in America and what would a majority black state look like in the United States. Now, this Twitter space was kind of long, so I kind of chopped it up a little bit to make it shorter. But I want y'all to sit back and enjoy the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
They called him a Russian agent. They did everything they could to destroy him. I would expect somewhat similar the next 4 years. And then after that, you're going to have a regular old bureaucratic politician come in. So voting for Trump, in my view, and I'm not criticizing anyone else because I halfway agree with you, but in my view, it's not a long-term solution.
Well, let me respond to you. And as you notice, sir, I changed my logo because I'm building a black party. I'm building a black party about what you were saying.
Hey, Josh, hold on a second. So with that being said, Muppet, would that at least give us some, say, time to do whatever it is we may have to do for the next following 4 years? Because we are in an election year right now. So, and we don't got our shit together. So, and like, again, we know the problem. What's the solution? Go ahead.
Let me answer him, because I'm going to answer him. And Muffin, no disrespect, but you're talking like a Democrat. First of all, you're saying what we do. We don't depend on the state. That's just one strategy. I'm building a black party, okay? So we can actually have political and economic power. And I'm at a loss because I kind of know the people, your kind of personality, like you accounting, all you understand is 1 + 1 = 2, and you're looking for this, like, where we're gonna go wrong, okay? So what's gonna happen is you're gonna live your life. You will have personal accountability. That's just one thing that we're doing in our life. You have a whole life, don't you, sir? Other than the president, who's going to be the president, right? That's just one strategy. I'm building a black party, and I'm struggling to build it on my website. One of the most important things I'm going to have is a workshop for black people about values. Okay, I understand exactly what you're saying. Okay, so are you proposing that we just vote for Joe Biden? Is that what you're thinking? What we should do? Is that what you're saying?
Wow, certainly not. How did you get that for what I was saying?
I don't know, sir, because it seems like what I hear you saying is, okay, so what if we do what you say? Then Donald Trump's in the office. But there's a whole lot to that, sir. First of all, one thing that you don't understand, and it's very hard for me to say that in this room and you unexplain it, because I understand what having power is like. Okay? Like people come in the room and I come in the room and the fangs come out, or they want to come for me. That's what power is like. I've had power my whole life. Okay? So if we put Donald Trump in office, and trust me, they're going to know that it was us. What we're trying to do is change the dynamics about black people. Black is creating a black majority state. Brother, you can do more than one thing. Actually, I encourage you to attack shit in multiple angles. That's how you win. When you hedge your bet, you do a lot of things. You do a lot of different things. You are mindful of everything you do. So I come from a business background. I've only worked for Fortune 500 companies. They pay me to make strategy, to create strategies. Okay, and it be people in the room like you. Oh, what about this and what about that? What about we just give it a try and see what happens, right?
So if we have to give something a try and nobody knows anything about it, then if we have to give something a try, we're trying to go into these things knowledgeable. Okay, so we can't change the dynamics. We can nuance the things that we do, but we can't just change the dynamics because dynamics take care of themselves. Okay, we can start an action, we can start a movement, we can create inertia, but the dynamics of it is not going to be on us because we cannot control the dynamics, nor can we repeat the dynamics that made a certain thing take place. We got to remember that. And as far as going out and voting for these white people, that's basically the only choice we ever had, is all we ever known. And even when we get somebody in that does look like us, still the overshadowing concept is focused on the white person. We could have 9 Black American or Negro candidates, and still the focus, if it's going to be on 3 or 4 of those white people that are candidates. It's going to be the focus, because the black candidates aren't going to get. They're not going to get that mental edge. They're not going to be able to influence people on that mental level as far as perception. Because why? Because white people have always done everything. They've always run the country. So the perception is what? Maybe they are more intelligent. Maybe they are more capable. Of course they're not. But that's the perception. I agree. I don't think they're more capable. But I have to say it because this is the way the dynamics flow. This is what's left in the residual. They didn't want to vote for Hillary, but they still voted for a clown. So what was going to be the difference? Having a female clown or a male clown? And I don't think people, the youngest generation, I don't think they was influenced by Hillary antics. I think they would have been more in tune of voting for a first woman president. But got all of those dynamics that play into it. You know, I apologize for breaking in on the space here. Shout out to you, DJ.
What's up, big bro?
Man. Original. You know, shout out to you guys. Shout out to the room. Peace, power, reparations to
reparations.
all. You know, thank you guys.
Can I pose a question to the room? Because see, and I don't want to be crazy. I don't know who in here. I'm just asking the question. So, one strategy, as Judge would call it, right, that we've never really used before, it's kind of like in the chamber, right, is us not voting, right? I know that's controversial. That's controversial. My question to the people that oppose that strategy: what's wrong with that? What is wrong with being like, we just not going to participate altogether? Like, I would like to know from anybody that opposes the no vote strategy, why? We've never done that before.
I mean, is it really controversial, or is it just the hearing that is new? We already don't vote to a certain extent when you really think about it. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, arguing with the white supremacists all day. You know, this one white dude just said to me recently, something about, you know, us being only 13%. Well, I said, hey, you know, most folks don't fill out a tax form. White folks evade taxes more than anyone. And if you ain't filling out a census and, you know, got any type of medical or school history or tax history or credit history, how do you know who you are as a person? You feel what I'm saying? They just telling you that. How you know ain't really 100 million black niggas over here, since you see us getting killed on TV all day, every day. You feel what I'm saying? So that must mean there's enough of us to go around, fam. But y'all don't just be lynching us the way y'all doing in 2023. You know what I'm saying? But go ahead, Ambrose.
We're at least 25%, DJ. It's a lie. You're right. We're at least 25%.
I could not answer the question, but I would say not voting would be a good strategy, but you'll still have a high majority of black Americans that will still vote Democrat because they're staunchly Democrat. And if you could get everybody on the same page to not vote, then you might as well get everybody on the same page to create their own black party. You know, like we're speaking in hypotheticals, and like those of us who are conscious and that want to do something, we can't expect anything to change unless we make that change ourselves. We create the reality. You know, we are the ones that create a future based on the actions we take now. Because technically, like, you might get 5 to 7% of us, or what they say, Trump's support is upwards of 12 to 15%. Trump's black support is increasing to like 15% plus, that might be the maximum, 20%. You're still going to have 80% of black Americans that end up voting for Democrats. It'll take dozens of election cycles to peel that down under 50%, under 40%. Before you know it, you'll be 80, unless something crazy happens, like they catch somebody killing a black person on television, the president. But like what we're talking about in this room, we're a small group of the overall total in this country, and you still want to have, like, when it comes to next year and the totals come out, there's going to be over 80% of black people that voted for Biden. What I'm proposing
How
is,
do you know that? How do you know that?
How do I know?
Yes. Because let me ask you something. Do you know the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats? Do you know? Have you ever made over $100,000? Because when you make over $100,000
right now.
Okay, so then you know how much. So you do understand the difference between Republicans and the Democrats. Because when the Republicans in office, you get to keep more of your money. You do understand that, right? And what you say about black people voting blue, I don't think as many black people vote blue as what you're projecting, okay? I think I think people in general in this country is suffering, period, financially. Okay.
The tax code applies to people over 250 to 300,000. Like,
sir,
once you're over that, that's when it matters.
I have a tax business, so that's what I do. That's how I make my living. And
yeah,
if you made over $100,000 in a year, you want to tell them how much you actually brought home?
Somewhere north of 65 to just about 70.
North of 65?
Yes.
Maybe. You must have a lot of write-offs. So $100,000 you might go home with $60,000 after taxes and workers' comp and all those other things. At any rate, going back to the original conversation, this is what's upsetting to me is that, and this is what they do. This is marketing. This is how companies move. People come in these rooms, in these spaces, and they say, "Oh, 80% of this, 80%." How you know that? And what kills me is people go for the fucking okie doke. And I'm going to give you the example, COVID. I sheltered at home for 2 years because I was scared as fuck. I didn't go nowhere for 2020, 2021. I was waiting for a vaccine.
I think we should take our own...
No, let me finish this for y'all, okay? So it's April of 2021, they were boasting numbers about the effectiveness of a vaccine that was fucking impossible. It was impossible. I said, oh shit, they lying to these people. That's how I know not to put that poison in my motherfucking body. When you talk about data, family, when you know data, if you have a college degree, you understand. They explain to you about interpreting data. The first question you ask is who created the data. Okay? These pharmaceutical companies, when they have a vested interest, I could talk to you and screw my argument any way I want to. You tell me, give me a point of view, and I have an argument for both positions, okay? When they create data on purpose. Did y'all saw that movie about that lady who created a fake ass fucking what was it called? I forgot what it's called. She had a couple of movies on Netflix. I read the book during COVID. She made up a fucking false ass machine that didn't work, and that bitch worth $1 billion because she fucking lied. That's America. They lie to you. Got us thinking we're 10% of the fucking country. When you look around, does it look like you 10% of the country?
You're talking about Elizabeth Holmes or whatever her name is with
I read the book during COVID. I read the part about the one who blew the whistle, who was a senator's son, her senator grandson. The senator was going to turn his grandson for this woman who made a fake ass machine. And what I'm trying to explain to you, sir, this is America. America is a body of fucking lies. And in terms of Jews, I think it's less Jews than fucking black people. And,
you're preaching to the choir, but this is what tells me that black people are going to continue to vote for Democrats. Biden disrespected in so many ways. He told people they're not black. Kamala Harris, she has a huge history of you're from in California, right? She kept black people locked up. She laughed about locking them up, all for to keep them fighting fires. People willingly went in knowing who these people are, and they still voted for them because it's all on line A. I hope people would change and vote for Trump or vote for anyone else, because I hate Democrats to the core. But I see how the cycle works and how they are in the habit of, I can't figure it out, but they vote for them because I don't know. I don't expect that to change leading into 2024.
Can anybody explain what's the difference in if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? And what's the difference between that and what do you have to lose? Because in my mind, when somebody asks me what I have to lose, there's some kind of way they're snooping around or they're doing something that they feel like they kind of got me in a catch-all somehow.
Exactly, and it's still not promised you anything.
Exactly.
What I'm saying is Trump hasn't promised us anything as of yet.
And they want to ask us what do we have to lose. That's condescending. That is condescending. I don't care what anybody says, the differences of those two.
It ain't no difference, but Muffin, let me say something to you, because I think you're a smart man. I encourage you to speak positive. And when you try to spend one day just saying positive stuff, not what's going to happen or what the bad. Try to, how shit happens, people who win, they know they're going to win. People who win don't win and they think they ain't going to win. You have to think you're going to fucking win. And you don't know how bad this hurts my heart. This hurts my heart because I studied this. This is the biggest harm they've done to us. People in here mad at me because I tell them don't lead with lineage-based reparation because that they setting you up to lose. You lead with the harm that they've done. You do a study of black people and the mental health of black people in this country, the shit they fucking did to us. Like the little girl that slammed this little girl about a trespassing. That's the psychosis of being black. That's black. Let me finish. That's the psychosis of being black. You have fear. When a police officer comes to a black person, their body, their involuntary motion is to be scared and to run away. This is what they've done to black people. This is what they continue to do to black people.
But the harms do lead up to the lineage. Okay? I mean, they complement each other. What are you saying?
You know what, sir? OG, you know what? That's a conversation that I can't have with you because y'all stuck on that. And the California Jamaican dude, the Jamaican dude did that on purpose. That they set you up for failure. If you talking, it's too many hoops to jump through about slavery. They have been harming us since we've been here. They continue to harm us.
Okay, can I just say this one time in the movie room? I'm sorry, y'all. I want to say something to Judge real quick. So, usually what I do, and this is a strategy that works for me, maybe if you don't want to lead with lineage-based reparations, because I agree with whoever just said that. You can't talk about the harms without talking about the repair. But talk about the unpatrioticism of it all, right? The unconstitutionalism of it all. That's how you get at right-wingers, right? You talk about, nigga, if you don't agree with reparations, you're anti-constitution. You're unpatriotic. Break it down to them in the words and the language that they understand, and then you can get on that. Because I agree. You can't really talk about the harms without talking about repairing them. That's kind of, weird.
Sister, you said the Constitution, that's right. And what the thing is, we are unequal. What they do to us, black people, America has broken their promise to black people under the 14th Amendment.
That's the conversation I had with these conservatives.
Every group is using this 14th Amendment and the 14th Amendment. I'm sorry that I'm angry, y'all, and I get like this. This is what it does to my brain, because it's not complicated. It's easy. Netflix put it out there for all y'all to see. We are not equal in this country. Fucking, what's his name?
That's the conversation.
That's the conversation. And it's not that
when I can show him the laws and be like, no, look, according to our U.S. Constitution, these things are happening.
There you go.
The conversation to have. And then they'll be on board with the reparation because they'll be like, you're right, if they care about the country. And that's really the question.
You got it, FBA, and I appreciate you.
Hey, hold on. Let Black Majority go. You just got to jump in there, bro. But I know you're doing your thing. You there?
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate it. I don't want to interrupt anybody, and I just want to say this one thing, and then I'm gonna, listen after that. So, there's a lot of talk about Trump. So, fuck Biden, fuck Trump. There's no white saviors. I do want to make that very, very clear. However, I absolutely would not encourage anybody to vote for Biden because the Democrats do far more damage than these Republicans ever will and literally ever have at the federal level. They do much more damage at the state level when it comes to our population. But at the federal level, they really don't do a whole hell of a lot that's really that anti-Black American like the Democrats. But Trump, during his South Carolina recent rally or whatever they call them, he stopped at a gun store. They did a photo op, a bunch of videos are out about it. And this was the gun store where one of the guns of the shooter in Jacksonville, who murdered and put swastikas and a whole bunch of racist shit on his guns, one of his guns came specifically from that store. That was intentional. That was not a mistake. It wasn't a gaffe or anything like that. It was very, very intentional. This is who Donald Trump is. This is who he will always be. So we have to be very clear when we're advocating for these people who they truly are at their core. I believe if Trump runs, he will win, but it doesn't mean that the illegal immigration is going to stop. I want to just go through this stuff really quickly because when Trump was president 4 years ago, he ran on deporting a bunch of people. He ran on building a wall. He ran on stopping immigration, and none of that happened. In fact, in every area of immigration, more people came into the country. It just slowed down, but it was mainly due to COVID, not necessarily due to Trump's policies or anything that he did. And he did a lot. He did a whole hell of a lot. This stat, and these are all stats, so I can post them, you can check them, it's not that big of a deal, but these are real numbers as to what his effect was. And this is a quote. President Trump has not brought about any significant changes to the number of people in either deportation category compared with his predecessor, who was Obama, who Obama was called the deporter in chief. That was his nickname by these immigrants. U.S. Immigration Customs and Enforcement Agency, which handles most deportations, has described the current rate of removals as extremely low. So this is under Trump. Also, the amount of foreign-born people living in the U.S. increased by 3% during his time in office. There was an increase. Even though he wrote 400 executive orders about immigration, it still increased over the time that he was in office. So here's the thing. He's promising a lot, but can he actually do it? That's what the question has to be. Does the president have enough authority to actually effectively stop immigration? And the answer is likely no. Can he deport people who are already in the country living here? The answer is likely no, because once they're here, they got all the rights that we got. They got to go through the court system. It's not a thing where the federal government can start rounding people up and putting on buses or boats or whatever it is and move them out of the country. No, they have to go through the court system. Most of those deportations happen at the border. So they cross the border, they capture them like they're doing now. Instead of busing them into the country, they bust them out of the country. That's kind of the biggest difference with Biden, is that he's been, instead of capturing them and then sending them back, he's just been flooding them into the country. So it will slow down compared to Biden, but Biden is doing historical numbers. It's utterly, literally insane. But it doesn't mean that when Trump gets in, it's going to go to zero. This is going to go back to normal. And that still doesn't change much for us, because that means millions of people, likely 8 to 10 million of these people, will still come into the country under Trump, because that's kind of the normal level. So we can't just jump into this whole thing where Trump is the savior, he's going to stop everything, because he's really, really not. And then the last thing I want to address is about black voters. So there is a think tank in D.C. It's a black think tank. It's called the Joint Center. And during Biden's election, they have this graphic. It says 22% of Biden's voters were black Americans. 22%. So then you have to figure out, well, how many voters is that? Well, when you realize that he got 8.3 million votes and you multiply that times 22%, you come up with a number that's right around 18 million black voters. So he got 18 million black voters. That doesn't mean that he got 100% of the black vote, because 100% of black people don't vote. That's just the reality. 100% of white people don't vote either. No demographic has 100% voters. But it means that the people who vote Democrat likely are going to vote Democrat. It's not 100% of us. It's 18 million. That number may go up slightly if people have these same voting patterns, but that's all they need to win. Now, what was the difference between him and Trump last time? It was about 6 to 7 million votes. So, again, if 6 to 7 million of us decided not to vote for Trump, whatever we did that was different, it would likely result in a Republican victory. And Cornel West, to his credit, he's going to siphon off some votes, and it's likely going to come from the Democrats. As long as he's on the ballot, as long as he's in all 50 states, he'll likely take votes away from Biden, not from Trump. So it's a very good chance that Trump is going to win. I believe he'll win. It just doesn't mean that a whole lot is going to change for us. To Muffet's point, everything that's going to change for us is going to be built by us. What we do to effectuate that change. It's not coming from the federal government ever. Never again. That is over. We had Reconstruction. We had the Civil Rights Movement, and it's done. It's over. I promise you, it is over. Everything is going towards immigration. All of their infrastructure is going towards immigration. All of the money is going towards immigration. Like, it's over. Everything Dr. Claude Anderson has been saying for the last 2 decades, we're right in the midst of it, and it's over. So we got to figure it out, and we got to figure it out quickly. And I'll land with that.
Matt, may I ask a question?
Yeah, I got a question and a statement. I'm sorry, this is my first time.
Hold on, Superstar. Hold on a second. Let the Cole speak, bro.
I just want to ask a question. And the question is this, and it's also to Muffet, right? Because the question he asked before was like, okay, if Donald Trump gets in, it's 4 years, and then what? So this is the question, and y'all can move on. So when he was president before, which was 2016 to 2020, right? Was it not true, or did y'all not see that, like, if nothing else, because I don't really believe he did a whole bunch of stuff for us. I'm not here to advocate for Donald Trump, I promise you that. But I saw, personally, niggas getting their shit together. Excuse my language, right? Niggas was like, he ain't gonna do nothing for us. Let me get my stuff together. People was having their businesses together. They were like pushed against the wall, and they made it happen for themselves. So my question is, if not nothing else, would that be an answer to your question? Like, we're gonna get on our square because we know that he ain't gonna do nothing for us, and we gotta get it out the mud if we really want it. And that kind of made people say that. I think that when we voted Biden back in, a lot of niggas went back to sleep that were waking up. And so I think that was the fault in it. That's just my personal opinion. So, and it's also a question.
Yeah, if I can go first.
Right, you awake, FBA. You awakening.
That's exactly what I noticed, Empress. I noticed that Trump emboldened a lot of racists, even though Trump didn't push those sentiments outright towards black people. A lot of white Americans felt emboldened and started on the outward attacks. So it like woke a lot of black Americans up. There's one thing I noticed too. The immigrants started laying low because they thought they were going to get deported, whether it was going to happen or not. You saw the activity decline, at least in my state. You know, the streets in the areas where they normally go shop, the streets were empty a lot of times. So I noticed those two things.
I want to respond to y'all, and the family, please pay attention to this because this is really very vital. When you read statistics or data, family, you can't take that for face value. What educated people who use this data to make decisions, they research who did it. If it's an article, Google the person who wrote it. To give you an example, did they expect Donald Trump to win? He was not leading the polls. Hillary Clinton was. What I'm trying to tell you is they lied to you. I work for Wells Fargo. I work for Fortune 500 companies, and I've sat in rooms where they put together strategies to make you think something. So when you read something and the data says this and the data says that, I'm going to give you, COVID is the shit for me, okay? The COVID contraction rate did not change from December of 2020 to December of 2021. They were the same. So how effective was that shot? So what I'm trying to tell you, when someone reads this data to you, the only way you know that you have to, it's not fact, you have to verify it. You look at it, usually if it's a legitimate place, it'll say so-and-so conducted this study. Then you Google who wrote it because they have a vested interest in it. I can't say that enough to you guys. Because people are like, oh, so-and-so, 30, da-da-da-da. How you know that? And they be like, this is a fact. That ain't a fact. You don't know it's a fact unless you did the study. The fucking air. And I'm angry. We deserve more. We deserve more. And that's why I'm angry. I know I come in rooms, it be all these intelligent, articulate people. And I'm like, how the fuck where we at? Like, why are we where we at? Because it's an emotional thing. They got us fucked up emotionally. We don't know what to do. We scared. We don't trust them. Saying Donald Trump is a fucking racist. Yeah, he a fucking racist. So what they got to do with the country G in China? We need to establish that we have power. And Democrats, we getting the fuck off your plantation. We don't have Stockholm Syndrome anymore. We fucking with Trump, okay?
The best way for us to exercise power is to, those same numbers you're talking about, instead of believing them, we need to be able to crunch the damn numbers for ourselves and go into it that way. I think that if we can have more people in the approach of actually doing something, you know, being proactive in these certain areas, like people say all the time, but actually doing it, we don't have to rely on what their statistics say. We know how to go in and approach the statistics for ourselves. Yeah, I took statistics. I'm sure a lot of you did. And most people who take statistics, they already know that you can make a statistic for anything you want to make it for. You can make statistics for some shit that nobody have a clue about. You can make statistics for shit that everybody knows about, but you can just jumble them up in a way that it's gonna create them to have to think. Just like a jokester, you know, a person who joke with you about certain numbers and all, and then you give an answer, but then they go back to the other direction of what it could mean. Like 1 and 1 is 11, or 1 and 1 is 2. So, you know, they fuck with your mind like that. But if you know how to crush the numbers and do the numbers,
or 3.
Or 3, that's right. So if you know how to fuck with numbers and get past the jokey joke parts of all of it, then hell, you can do your own individual statistics and see what the hell going on. And then you can come back and talk about it.
Hey, OG, this is Black American Homeland. You mentioned about exercising power, right? There's 2 government entities that exercise power in the United States. And that's the federal government and the 50 states. Now, Black Americans, our 50 million population, right? We're too small to take control of the federal government. However, we're large enough to take supermajority population and political control of several states. If we can take control of several states and we have our own political party, right, that will give us power. That will give us the opportunity to exercise U.S. constitutional power in the United States. There's no reason for Black Americans that we have to compete with immigrants and the tethers and all these people, right? If we have control over states, right, then we have complete power over those people. The tethers and the immigrants, they have to catch up with us if we have control of states. And I lay my plane right there.
Does that mean that we are going to control where the immigrants actually stay or live, or you know?
Well, the thing is, right? If they want to live in our state, if they want to live in a supermajority Black state, then they have to live by our laws laws and our policies and agenda. If they don't like our policies and our laws, they're gonna move to another state.
Hey, Black, I think I agree with everything you said, but I think we should just try to fight to overturn the 1965 Civil Rights Bill.
Look, there's short-term, medium-term, and long-term solutions and strategies, right? I focus really on the long-term solutions, right? The small and medium term solution. I'm up with whatever y'all would like to do, but I like to focus on the long term. And I truly look. I've been researching on this for 25 years. I think the best long-term solution for Black Americans is to take supermajority population and political control of several states. Then guess what? We don't care who's the president of the United States. We don't care if it's a Republican Party or the Democrat Party. We control several states, and we just don't care who controls the federal government. Whoever controls the federal government, we will still get our we call it Black. We will still get our. Every state, the federal government gives a certain amount of money to the 50 states, right? And because there's a Democrat Party or Republican Party, whoever controls the federal government, they can't give us less money because we don't advocate for their agenda.
Black American Homeland, if I can just expound on what you're saying, just to explain it to OG, it's as simple as if we became a majority in any given state, it's not like we're creating a new territory. We're picking the existing states. All we need to do is have the majority work together, take over the governorship and the majority of the legislature, and then we will control the state. And then we will also be able to send senators and congressmen to Washington. But it's as simple as controlling the legislature and controlling the governorship. And we would have to work together. So as Judge Sarah Heidel speaks about starting a party, that would be part of the plan. We would need someone like her and people like her to start our own party when we're in the state to get to the point where we can raise the awareness, the funds, get everybody on code so that we can go after state power.
Can I say this to you really quickly? And just to give you an example of the Democratic Party, they saying that they gave $720 million to Black, historically Black colleges, and this is how they fucking framed the fucking truth. They gave money to every college for care for COVID. And they're including that. It's their line saying, oh, we gave so much money to Black colleges. They gave that same money to everybody else. This is how they lie. This is why when you read something, family, like Judge Sarah Heidel, that's my motherfucking oppressor. And nobody even click on it and see who the fuck she is. She is my motherfucking oppressor. Anyway, you have to dig deeper.
Hey, Black, since foundational Black people are in the statistics with us, shouldn't you just say 40 million?
I'm sorry, I barely can hear you. What? I heard the 40 million.
Yeah, because you said in the last space that Black immigrants and their foreign-born children are included. So basically, if you just include them, it's basically just 40 million.
Yeah, basically, yeah, because 50 million, foreign-born and their children are about 20% of the total Black American population. So yeah, it'll be 10 million of them and 40 million of us. Correct.
Okay. So you should. I'm not disagreeing, but I just think you should probably just say 40 million instead of 50 million because they're not like us. Where they
million white people, right? Now, the English people that formed the colonies and are the original, white people of the United States of America, it's only 16 million English people in the United States. There are 50 million Germans. There's like 35 million Polish. There's like 30 million Italian people. All those other groups outnumber the English people, right? But for the English people to stay in power, they need to count these other European groups, right? That's the only way they can stay in power. They have to consolidate all the European white population to that 200 million, and that's how they stay in power. So, okay, there's 40 million of us. However, we have to figure out how to, that other 10 million that is not in that native black population, we got to figure out how to leverage them, how to take control of them, we got to make them see our point of view, and the fact that we outnumber them, I think we can easily do that.
But Black American Homeland, quick question. Yeah. Is it even relevant when you look at a state like Delaware? Because we're talking about states, individual states, and the first state, the easiest state to take over is Delaware, and we would need 400,000 to 600,000 people to move from surrounding states to become the majority in Delaware. If we think about that, we only need 400,000 to 600,000 Black Americans to move to Delaware from Maryland, from Pennsylvania, from New Jersey, and we would be the majority.
Right, and you're right. The foreign-born Black, it wouldn't matter. You're right.
Hey, yeah, but same could be said about the Hispanic groups. Like, it's like 65 million Hispanics according to the census, but only like 36 or 37 million Mexicans, 8 million Puerto Ricans, 2 to 3 million Central Americans. I don't know if
the Cubans.
Yeah.
Hey, look, and they're fighting each other. Those people are not homogeneous. The Venezuelan, the Cuban, the Puerto Rican, the Dominican, the Mexicans, they all have their own agendas, right? But they do have a what's that word? There might be a overall agenda for them, but they still have their own separate policies that they want to deal with.
Yeah, I agree, but technically we're still the largest minority in America, ethnicity wise.
Correct.
Okay. So what about the millions of Black Americans that don't get counted, that we don't know about?
You talking about Black Americans?
Yes.
Well, look, if they live in a supermajority Black state, right, we will be able to count those people.
Yeah.
Because look, we're gonna have an agency. These supermajority Black states, they all gonna have their own agency that count the population. And that's what the state provides for us. A state provides institutions, government agencies, so we can do all the things we need to do to solve the problem within the Black community. The state has everything. Without a state, we can't do anything, right? We are dependent on the federal government. But if we have our own state, we can do all the things we need to do to regulate the conduct of our people. That's what the state does.
Oh yeah.
Can I ask you a question? And this is Muffet. I guess you're down with the Black majority state too, huh? I'm for that too. But at what point? When does the planning and the organizing start? When is the plan? When you create the plan on what you're going to do? Because you're going to have commerce, you're going to have businesses, you're going to have housing. And I absolutely think there's an opportunity for that, actually a great opportunity. But, at some point you have to start the planning.
Right. But look, the plan is already it's in place. Look.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to say. Some things already in place.
Look, the state of Georgia, right, has all the institutions in place. The only thing we have to do is take over that institution. The Georgia, Louisiana, Tennessee, Delaware, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, whatever state that we are targeting, right, are already in place. The commerce, look, the states are their own independent commerce, right? The state has regulate intra-state commerce. That means that it has power to control, regulate anything whatever business that's being done within the state. So if we take control of the state, then we have power over local commerce. We can regulate and make laws within the state. We have everything. The state offers everything for us.
Empress, I just want to say we are working on that. I haven't spoken to Rella in a few days to maybe a week and a half. But we were putting together a white paper or a planning document to start the first steps of working on what we're doing. We've also been talking about buying property, targeting Delaware, and establishing the business and community outreach and starting from there. We're at the beginning, so it's like the rudimentary stages, but we are working on it. You got to start somewhere.
That was me to ask that question. You know what, Black Homeland, one of the things that I know that you talk about often is human behavior. You do a compare and contrast with different countries you've been into. And one of the things that I think that you might want to be mindful of is values. I think you need to, in these areas that you're trying to create, I think you need to establish specific values for the people that are going to migrate there. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, absolutely. Look at this. This is why I know. When you take power, when you take responsibility, when Black people are responsible for their state, I think that's going to change our minds drastically. Because, guess what? There's nobody to save us. We are responsible for our state. We are responsible for our city, our towns, our counties. That puts all the responsibility on us. And when you have responsibility, that changes a person. That's why I know. Look, when I was a single guy, I was a bit, a knucklehead. But when I got married and had children, that changed me, because now I'm responsible. And I believe that's the key to Black Americans changing the culture and all these things in the Black community. Is once we have responsibility of our own state, then I think that will change everything.
What about performance standards?
Performance standards. Okay, look, I live in the third world country, right? Our performance is way better than what's going on in Africa or what's going on in Thailand or Malaysia or the Philippines or Vietnam. Our standard is first world. I say our standard is, a Black American, because I did this, man. I tried to figure out, okay, if the white population, their standard is here, the Asian, their standard is here, where's the Black population? Where is our standard?
Right. We kind of showed that during history, right? I mean, we think about all of the black towns and stuff that we had. Our black excellence have shown we've done this. I get into this argument with Tethers all the time.
However, this is very important. Political control of a town, a city, or a county does not work if you don't have political control of the whole state. The state grants all these little sub-government units power. You as a town, as a city, can't have power all by itself if the state is not granting you or giving you the authority of that power. You understand that?
I do, but now I have a question. So, because I'm way more politically savvy than I am, right? So when these politicians are going, they're like, oh, it's in the middle. We're gonna turn it blue. We can turn it this and that. Like, who are they talking about? It's not us, the voters, or not us specifically. In general, right? We trying to turn the state red or blue. If us not holding down an entire state, which we've never done, we've only had towns and cities. If that's not of any significance, why the effort?
Because it's very important. Because look, why do the whites? Why do they think control of the state is so important? You know, look, the Republican Party, they control 27 states, and I believe the Democrat Party controlled 23 states. Why is that? Why do they control states? Because that's where the power is. Look, whoever controlled the most states controlled the federal government. Each state has their own electoral college votes. So whoever had the most college vote controlled the presidency. Now look, if we have 7, 8, or 9 states, right, that will give us like 80 to 90, or let's say 85 electoral college votes. Black people, we had never controlled electoral college votes before. But that is one thing a state will give us, is control over electoral college votes.
I don't know if it'll be in the 80s though, maybe about 60, 55.
Yeah,
so
can I say one thing?
We have to be. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, real quick, just one thing. We're 40 plus million of the population, yet we're so dispersed throughout the country, we don't have the power on our own to elect one senator. Where you have states where they have less than 1 million people in it, and they have 2 senators for that state. That's ridiculous.
Look, this is what I research on, right? Okay, if you take the 24 smallest states in population in the whole United States, their population is less than 50 million. But guess what? Guess how many U.S. senators they have? They got 48, because 24 of the smallest states times 2 senators is 48 senators. But 50 million Black Americans, we the same population size. We have no states. We don't have supermajority population or no states. Therefore, we only have 2 or 3.
I agree with you. You can't. We're like 40 million. I personally think it's more, but I'm just saying what the census said. We're like 40 some million. That's considered not a big number of population. You can't be such a small portion of the population, but be that scattered out and expect to have control of something. I could see if it was like 140 million. Okay, you have a big number everywhere. You could pretty much take control of anywhere, pretty much. But you can't be that small and be spread out. You got to get somewhere and just lock in.
Right. Look, the Cubans, right? There are 2 million Cubans, or 2.5 million Cubans, right? They said, okay, look, our population is too small for us to be scattered all over the United States. So what we're going to do is we're going to consolidate most of our population in Miami-Dade County. I believe 50% of all Cubans live in Miami-Dade County. Because that's the only way they can have some kind of control over their people is Miami-Dade County. But Black American, there are 50 million of us, right? We have the opportunity to take control, not only just 1 or 2 or 3 states, a whole region of states. That's the power we have. And we just have to figure out how to leverage that and just go about what we need to do.
And I don't mean to jump in front of anybody. It's going to be the last time. But this is the type of conversation we should be having. This is an adult conversation. This is the conversation if it spread throughout this app and was on everybody's mind and it pervaded our psyche, they would kick us off because this is what they fear. They fear us talking about serious issues that could put us in power. They don't want us talking about this. All the other distractions need to get pushed to the side because what we're talking about right now, that's our ultimate solution. We get reparations and other people can still control the seats of government and power. They can slowly pull whatever we get from us. We control state power. We control our own destiny. There's nothing they can do. We control our lives. We control our futures. We make the laws. We make the policies for the children that's going to be born into the future. This is the biggest, and to my mind, from my point of view, the biggest issue facing us and the biggest issue that every Black American in this country should be concerned with. And that's the way I look at it. And anything less than that, I think, is a waste of time.
Hey, Black, I had a question about reparations because we have a lot of these anti-Black American people, white or anti-Black people that argue that reparations are handout or we get it, we gonna suck, we gonna spin it off or whatever, like blow it or whatever. Because they think like a lot of like young Black people, like ones from the younger generation, just gonna buy a whole bunch of cars, jewelry, all that shit. Is it like what do you like think they should like do for what they money for? Do you think they have the right to do anything they want with it since it's their money and it's going to their bank account or coming out their pockets?
Can I respond to that?
Oh,
Brother, you know what? I understand what you're saying, but I need to be calm. When I get here and I go off, I don't like that part of me because I'm not being rational. That shit, what you're saying, it's offensive. That's how the fuck they think about us. Let me explain something to you. Reparations is repair for the harm that they've done to us. I don't give a fuck if you take a fucking $100 million and put a motherfucker on one fucking coin and gamble that shit away. It's fucking yours. Yo, I'm sorry I'm getting angry. Because let me say something to you, because I'm friends with people in here, and if y'all don't know, I haven't been in Black neighborhoods. I've been in suburbia my whole motherfucking life. When I come in Black neighborhoods and I see the mentality, the thought of how they make my people feel and fucking think, you can do anything the fuck you want to do with your money. The fact that that's an issue, they even make that a subject, is problematic for me. I'm sorry. Okay, and to OG, can I say this to you? Because I want to talk about this thing about lineage-based reparations. Because people get crazy with me about it because they're not listening and thinking. You lead with the harms because it is unconstitutional what they've done. You lead with that. And you say, this is what we do. I made YouTube videos explaining, see, I can't think and talk when I get this angry. I am demonstrating that we're not equal in here. The 14th Amendment was created when they freed slaves to ensure that we was equal. We're not equal in this country. And we're prepared, we'll do legislation, whatever you want to fucking do with your shit, you can do with it. Now, once you establish that, then you say, who has been harmed? Who you think's been harmed? You understand? Because I think, oh, you're worried about somebody else. No, we're the ones that been harmed. You leading with the fucking harm and inequality, because that's how you gonna win. On my page, a white woman got $25 million from Starbucks, and the person they fucking offended, the Black man, got a fucking dollar. This is America. We're not equal. That's the problem. I'm sorry, when I feel like that, I'm like, I want to calm. I should calm down.
Judge, you can say that Black Americans are unequal and we have no power. But guess who has the power and their power is written in stone. That's the state. The state has rights and power.
We have power. We do have power.
We do have power.
My
However,
don't know.
FBA
Empress gets it. Not everybody gets it. Sister, you a leader, and I encourage you to be a leader. See, this is the mindset. Jewish people run shit in this country. What is the percentage? Y'all keep saying we don't have power. We don't have power because we don't stick together. We don't fuck with each other. Once we begin to fuck with each other, put black first, we're going to have all the power. Look online and see how these Democrats is acting the fool for us because they're afraid that the jig is up.
Right. Hey, Judge, I do believe we do have power. I was just saying what you said earlier, right? I do think we do have power, right? The only thing we have to figure out is how to leverage that power. And Black America, the whole country, right? It's not a good strategy to be into 50 different states. We need to consolidate our population, and that will give us more power. Because like I said, there's two powers in the United States. The one is federal government, and the others are the 50 states. And we can take.
Let me. Yeah, I'm hopping on this one. So, Black America has zero power. Show me one law that we have written in the last 24 months that has actually benefited Black America anywhere in this country. We have potential for power, but we don't have power. We have influence. They talk about we got this social capital based on our history here. That is all BS. It's really like tricking yourself into believing something that doesn't really actually exist. If you can't touch it, taste it, smell it, see it, and use it, you don't actually have it. And so for those who really, really do want to change things for Black America, we got to get off the delusions, because there's a lot of delusions. And that's a coping mechanism, it's a surviving mechanism, but we're beyond that at this point. And we actually got to get to the point where we do just acknowledge what our existence actually is, what the reality of it actually is. If we had power, we would have funding. Our businesses would be funded. Our homes would be funded. Our schools would be funded. Our communities would be funded. We do not have any real actual power in this country. We don't even own the music that we've created over the last century. To Black American Homeland's point, with state authority to investigate and incarcerate, and with federal funds coming through the state and state taxation, we would actually have real power, global power, not just state power. We would have national power and we would have global power, and that is real. That's something you can actually touch, not some figment of your imagination, of your level of influence because of social capital.
Bars. Black state majority.
Hey DJ, I just thanks for having this space.
You're welcome, baby dog. How you been though, man? Hey, look at your DM to Black America Homeland.
I want to say this to FBA Empress. When you said that black people, you said black people was getting up and getting out during Trump's reign. Let me tell you something. I'm in California. And when the state was locked down, the white people in Huntington Beach, they was losing their motherfucking mind because they didn't know what to do. They have never suffered like that in their life. They have no way of doing. What you say?
Same out here in Essex County.
They lost their motherfucking mind. They lost their mind. And you know, I when I'm angry like this, I don't like me being this way because I'm not in control. This is the anger. I'm angry because I know who we are. I see y'all. I hear y'all. It's emotional. This is like how they would whip us when we were slaves. They trying to keep us in our place. They trying to stick a fucking dick in our ass. Look, if Brother Muko's not here, all these people, I be in the room. I be like, 30% of this fucking room is like brilliant. I'm like, why are we messing? Like, why? The thing with Chase and how he got like that hurt my heart. because he's angry and he was triggered. And I wasn't offended by that because I understand who he is and what he is. But that emotional shit, that's what's keeping us fucked up. That emotional shit, being mad and angry, that's why we're not moving forward, why we're not being effective. You understand? I apologize for being so hyper, y'all. I gotta chill out. This really affects me because I don't like to lose. And I'm tired of us losing. It's time for us to win.
Well, it's easy for us to agree with you on that, Judge, about the emotions and all that. And when the emotions are fucked up, you know, then we really fucked up, you know. That's easy to agree with. But the reality is we still have to get back to the business at hand. And then we have to deal with these fucking white people, okay? And that's just the thing that crosses my mind, is that, you know, they make shit cumbersome that don't have to be cumbersome, and they put little roadblocks and shit like that up in front of us, you know, state-wise, just to be assholes, okay? So this is the thing, we all the hurdles that we jump now are the same hurdles we're gonna have to jump when we get this state power, okay? Because I believe we can get it, we can do it, sure. There gonna have to be some people who can engineer this thing to really a serious preciseness. Yeah, somebody gonna have to take that shit all the way home, okay? Somebody gonna have to be the fucking George Washington Carver of this movement, okay? And it doesn't matter if it's one person or 100 persons, okay? It's got to be done. And then we have to be able to somehow displace this white standard of shit. That was the reason I asked about the performance standards, because if we're gonna still be a part of the whole United States, and we're gonna be like a sovereign state with our own autonomy, then they're gonna try to judge us on like FEMA. If we have a damn natural disaster, is FEMA coming?
Look. We control the state. We control the agencies, the National Guard, the security. We control everything within the state. It's our responsibility. Is there a disaster in our state? It's our responsibility to solve that or fix that problem. Right? Look. Each state, the total state budget, including federal government, the total budget of the 8 states that I'm targeting is over $800 billion. Right? Good example, Nigeria, right? Their budget is like $30 billion. A country like the Philippines, their budget is $40 billion per year. If the 8-state southern region has a budget of $800 billion, that's compared to countries like Great Britain, Italy, Spain, Brazil, India. So we will have the money, whatever disaster that we have to confront, we will take care of that disaster. Of course, the federal government, they're going to give us a little help, but we're going to take control of that ourselves. Anything that happened within our state, we are responsible for our state. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, and then I'll add on, because I think you touched on it on the FEMA part. So we are still a United State. We are still a part of the United States. So anything that any other state would get, we will get. That is the way the country works. Every state gets their fair share. It's a system that they have in place. It's a system that's been in place long enough that there's laws established around it. So if we have a natural disaster, FEMA needs to come and do their part. Our senators and our U.S. reps need to make sure that FEMA comes and does their part. There's nothing where we're going to be limited just because we're a black state or a black majority state in that respect, because it's not going to be 100% black people. There's still going to be other people living there. That's the part that we gotta get our minds wrapped around. It's not autonomous. We're not separating from the United States. It opens you up to too many problems when you become a foreign nation to the United States of America. So we're still a part of the country. We still got access to all the resources that every state has. That doesn't change.
We just, I think we just need to have a whole bunch of people.
Say that again, sir?
I think we need a higher fertility rate and have a whole lot of kids again.
Hey, that's one of the things that I advocate for. I advocate for strong families, two-parent families, giving priority to families, black families, right? Give them access to land, to government jobs, to business loans. We're going to do that all for families. Families are our priority, right? But so I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna say something else, but I'm gonna stop right there. Families are our priority.
How do we get our women to stop having so many abortions every year?
Well, okay. In a supermajority black state, right, we're gonna have different factions, right? But we're going to be under one political party, I hope. I mean, that's my intention, to be under one political party, but we're going to have different factions. We're going to have nationalists, we're going to have conservatives, we're going to have moderates, we're going to have progressives, we're going to have liberals within the same party, right? We're going to have men, we're going to have women, we're going to have gay people, we're going to have everybody in our party. We want all. That's the coalition. When I say coalition, I mean a coalition of different black ideology and all that good stuff. Hopefully, we can come to some type of consensus that says, okay, look, we know that abortion is not good for our state, for our family, or whatever, for our economy, for our posterity. So we have to figure out how I hate this. I don't want to say limit, but we have to make it harder to have abortion. But look, I'm a conservative in that viewpoint. But the thing is, we have different ideology, different, way people think, and whatever the consensus is, I would agree to that consensus. But I'm just saying, as a conservative, I want to cut down on abortion. But women might have a different viewpoint. Everybody have their different viewpoints. So that's a very hard topic.
That's what kept our numbers so going this fast.
True.
Go ahead. I would just say we can also create a social system that would support women in childbirth and afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey, let's ask ourselves a tough question here. Can we truly keep pace with the importation of full-grown human beings that actually have human beings in their bellies to outnumber us through pregnancy of black women? It's impossible, statistically, impractical. It's not going to happen. We have to think above and beyond that. And it goes back into what Black said about leveraging other groups of black people for our agenda. Because how else can we do it? We don't have the damn numbers, man. Unless we get every damn black person, or at least 90% of every black person in our country, to populate those states, and we know that's not going to happen. How can we do this, man? We got to be rational about it. We can't let our biases get in the way. Just like me, you guys know that I'm B1, basically a Pan-African. Don't let it throw off the conversation, but I can't let that bias get in the way of the fact that in this country, black Americans are like on our deathbeds, and we have to be the priority. All the other groups are, think of it like a triage. You got 3 people in there. Let me talk, brother. Come on. Let
I'm sorry.
Okay, so think of it this way: Black Americans are on our deathbed, and we need the most care, most treatment, and most attention. And that's what I'm on. That's why you don't see me trying to interject any type of ideology that I might have about Black unity or any of that type of shit. We need to focus on us first and foremost. We have to run the yard first and foremost because we grew up in this system. We are the soul of this country. When you talk about liberty, talk about prosperity, talk about freedom, we are the ones that are the picture that we champion, that no other group has that type of ideology. When they come to this country, they come to this country for gain. They're not thinking about liberty and the pursuit of justice. Come on now. If they say that, they're lying through their fucking teeth. They're coming here for a come up. We are the only group of people in this country that practically just makes sense because of our history, has that type of ideology that makes America what it is, that makes America the bastion of freedom that it is. So we have to prioritize ourselves first in our mindset and where we came from in our history. So that's what I'm on. But I do know practically we can't breathe ourselves into those numbers. How do we do this?
This is prediction, right? It's possible that we can have 100 million Black folks by 20. Oh my God! I got the number of the year of my book. We should have 100 million. I think between 2065 to 2075.
And that's like, how does that work? Like that means one Black woman's gonna have to have 10 kids each. How's that work?
But see, this is what they say. And Judge, she talks about how different agencies come up with different statistics, right? Now they say by 2060, 2070, the foreign-born and their children can be probably 40% of the total black population by 2060, 2070, 2075. So really, that's what a lot of the growth rate is going to come in the Black community is through international, the foreign Black people. Not only that, you got Black people marrying or having babies with other ethnic groups, Asian, white, Hispanic. Matter of fact, I remember, if I can remember correctly, they said that 2 or more race in the Black community going to be like 20%. I said, wow, that's pretty huge. So there's a lot of ways that our Black population is going to increase. Some people don't believe it.
I'm talking about Black Americans, like our lineage. I'm talking.
Sean, if I can say, I would approach it one step at a time, one state at a time. Because remember, the state that we have the best chance starting out with is Delaware, and it only takes 400,000 to 600,000 Black people moving from the surrounding 3 states for us to become the majority there. The next state is Mississippi, and that's anywhere between 800 to 1 million. I might be off with that one, for us to become the majority. And you would have Black people moving from Texas and other surrounding states into Mississippi. So we don't have to work with the large numbers, but what that does is when we get that first state, it's going to take effort and it will be obstacles. Then every Black person from around the country will see the movement and they'll say, hey, something they never thought was possible. They say, hey, there's a group there working to take control of this state. And they're actually going to be successful. Like if you remember back to when Obama was about to become president, I remember talking to people like, what, Black guy? Not realizing who Obama was. But this guy's running for president? I don't think that, y'all have people saying, I don't think that's correct. Or I don't think that's possible. And then he was elected. People are like, whoa, you'll get that same reaction and effect if we're able to actually accomplish this movement. They'll see
I
that
wholeheartedly. I'm just talking about the birth rate. How can our birth rate keep up with the border crossers? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, my mistake. I completely misunderstood. Okay, I'm not gonna. I defer from answering that because I don't know how that's possible either when there's so many people moving into this country. So I'll defer to Black American Homeland. I was just talking about how we can get this ball rolling with state control, and then how it'll enter the consciousness of every other Black American in the country, and they'll want to participate because they see us winning.
I agree with you wholeheartedly. No argument out of that. But yeah, I'm speaking to that issue of they're flooding us, man, legally, and but the Great Black State really pointed that out to me. Everybody focuses on illegal immigration, but what about legal immigration? How are we going to keep our numbers up? The birth rate thing, that's great. We want as much Black American born babies as possible, but we can't outbreed border crossers. I'm sorry.
Right. But hey, Sean, this is the thing. I don't think non-Black foreigners would want to live in a supermajority Black state, because they might feel like we might be racist, or our laws are not favorable to them. Cause look, we're not going to make it easy for illegals to live in our state. We're going to have laws and ordinances that says, hey, you can't rent out to illegals. You can't hire illegals. Illegals can't get a driver's license. Illegals. Can you hear me, guys?
So we're not going to have any sanctuary cities.
Oh, yeah, right. The whole region is not going to be a sanctuary for any type of illegal. Correct. We're going to be as conservative as the Republicans. We don't have
I want very Black to speak. He has something to say. He jump in this, but I got something to follow up with. It's gonna blow the room up and piss a bunch of y'all off. But go ahead.
Well, yeah. Hey, Black, you got anything to say, Black?
Okay. Yeah, my bad.
I lost my phone.
Calling in. So I think the whole birth rate issue is a national mindset. Is thinking about everything from the whole country. Talking about we're 45 million people or 50 million people, we're gonna be whatever. And literally that's 50 years from now. Hopefully I'll be dead. I'm just keeping it a buck. I don't want to live to see 100. Most of us in this room are going to be elderly senior citizens with no ability to really interact with the population 50 years from now. So we got to do what we got to do right now. This is our time. And to Muffet's point, these states are like Noah's Ark for our population. And we really, really, regardless of what's going on national politics, red versus blue, like all of that, yada, yada, Democrat, Republican, Trump, Biden, most of that stuff, most of it becomes irrelevant when we just focus in on these states, and we just look at these states and we look at the governor of a state. I'm going to take some time to try to really focus in on the governors of these states. Like Newsom is a really good example. He's been doing a lot. The governor of Texas is a really good example. He's been doing a lot. Even though DeSantis is kind of a douchebag, he's been doing a hell of a lot. He's been very active, very busy in his governorship. These are the people that we should be thinking about. And really, really, again, looking at the states as like an escape hatch or a bubble or Noah's Ark or whatever kind of puts your mind in the frame of, okay, this is a protection from everything that's happening outside of here, because we control all the mechanisms that go on inside of this particular area. Most Black Americans don't travel very far from their home. We tend to live in the same city, move around neighborhood to neighborhood. The vast majority of us, and then those that do travel, to be perfectly honest, they do end up coming back home at some point. So it's kind of like we just got to take what we already do and move it where we're together in largest enough numbers that we can control our environment. And then again, to Muffet's point, whatever population, the Mexicans, if there's 200 million Mexicans, it really won't matter much to us because we're in a protected environment. Now, if they start flooding into our state, then we got to figure out how we counteract that at some point in time. But to Black American Homeland's point, they're likely not going to want to live around us because we have authority. And as long as we maintain that authority, white people, to be honest, they're not going to want to be under our authority. Asians are not going to want to be under our authority. And Hispanics likely will not want to be under our authority. So it's really going to be us at some point over time. I would think in 50 years, if we maintained a majority state, we would be like West Virginia, where we have 97% of us living in that state. I think that's the natural path that we would be on, not whatever else is out there. Because to me, it just is very clear that none of these people want to live under us, and that's the very big difference. Is they would literally be living under our laws, under our authority, under our police, under our judges. And so, and under our education, we're not going to have Spanish. We're not going to have Spanish on the fucking signs and shit like that there. If the federal government wants to make their interstates bilingual, it's their right to do it. It's their property. But in terms of what happens in the state, we're not doing that. We're not changing who we are for these people. So we're just going to make it, very comfortable for us and very uncomfortable for everybody else. And if we do that, we'll be successful. So when I wrote the book, it was about circumventing and making a lot of these issues irrelevant so that they just don't become relevant anymore. And most of the questions that we ask or that we deal with are questions that are national questions, scattered questions, minority questions. They disappear when you're the majority and you control your environment. Really, those questions don't matter anymore, to be quite honest. It becomes, our people will be thinking about what country can we trade with? What products can we manufacture? Our questions will change because our environment has changed.
Absolutely.
Hey, and Black, I asked you just before. I know you're probably not gonna give a new answer, but like, let's say like if we was to ever lose the South, right? It's like the Midwest ever a choice to us to take over.
The Midwest. The problem with the Midwest, right? Look, if you look at some of these maps, right, like majority Black cities, right? I was just looking at one of these maps yesterday. You notice that the South, the southern states, have many majority Black cities, or at least 35% Black cities. Now you go to the Midwest, it might be maybe 10, 15. 40% Black cities or over 50% Black American cities. So Black people in the Midwest, we are more concentrated in the city, right? And then they are surrounded by a sea of white counties. Almost all the counties are white in Michigan, Illinois, Pennsylvania, Ohio. But in the southern state, there are many counties that are majority Black. So that means that there's more opportunities in the South to have a supermajority. We have to control as many counties as possible. Not only the two-thirds of the state legislature, but we also have to have control as many counties as possible. And I don't think that will happen in the Midwest because we are concentrated in just one county, like Chicago. What's the county for Cook? Chicago County, right? There's over 1.3 million Black Americans just in that Chicago Cook County right there. That's more people than the whole state of Mississippi. Mm-hmm. So if we can get half of that Black people in Illinois to move to Louisiana, Mississippi, or Alabama, we can take control of those states.
But don't you think, well, like I said, don't you think if y'all from down south moved up north by the millions, it would change it? Like, since we only like concentrating in city up north mostly.
Well, see, the thing is, when you, this is very important. When you take control of the state, you have to be in all the counties. You just can't be in one area, because if Black Americans, let's say we have 70% of the state population, but we all in one city. But the white, they control all the other county. That would be kind of weird.
And another thing, Smiley, ideally, the southern region of the country is the best, actually probably one of the best piece of land in the world. So we talk about, look at the coast. We have coastal land. The land is easier to farm, because if you go out west, the Midwest, it takes more resources to farm the land. Militarily wise, protect that coastal land is easier. It's so much more have an advantage by aspect of it, because that's where our people came from. That's our homeland. Let's not get to the historical aspect of it. Let's just talk about tactically. The topography, the terrain, all of that is way more advantageous than anywhere else in the country. You have to really dig into that. I advise you to do that.
Sean, I think I have some insight into your question about birth rates. I just want to point out that birth rates drop normally because the economy gets harder for people. You have families where both the husband and wife or the mother and father both have to work. And that's in comparison to like traditional families from generations ago, where the woman can stay home and just the man work, and they'll be able to survive on just his one income. Or you had the farm situation where the family had a lot of children. But I would say under a black state, it depends on policy, and the state would have to create the social policy that made it easier for families overall to survive and less burdensome. So, we live in these states where, and I would tell you, like, working with some of these people that run and control the state, these people screw off a lot of money. There's a lot of graft. There's a lot of mismanagement. Part of having our own state is, first, we have to operate under the principles of justice, and we will have to manage the state and local budgets correctly. And when we do that, we'll see how much money is actually out there. And we use all of those funds and that funding to benefit us. And because we never lived or actually had a situation like this, we don't realize what's possible when you actually have state power. We've spoken about this before. Everyone in the room might not be aware, but the state has the ability to create state banks. That way you don't have to go to a private bank and get jerked around. A state bank that's concerned with the overall black welfare can benefit us far more than we ever could have imagined, or that's any private bank has ever done for any of us. A state can create its own insurance company. They can self-insure, and they can insure the public too. So that would be less of a cost. You don't have to go to insurance companies for cars. If the state chose to do that, they can insure your car insurance. They can insure home insurance. They can insure health insurance. I know money don't come from just anywhere, but if handled properly, a state could make life easier in so many ways, and for families, for individuals. Create the social policy that both makes life easier for people and that encourages us, because we know we have the power of the state behind us, and the state is looking out for our well-being. And when you make life easier for families, it's going to increase the birth rates, because they're not working 10, 12, 14 hours a day, just working to survive. They have that leisure time. They know that the state's backing them, so they can take the chance and have more children and know that everything will be okay. If they have a hardship that comes out of nowhere, they know that there'll be an insurance policy where the state has their back. And that leads to higher birth rates almost immediately. So policy affects behavior. And living in America, we see they're always making rules and laws, and it affects behavior, and they count on that. We have a state that's looking out for our benefit, that's run by us. It's almost like the whole reality of shit for us. And as far as other people moving in, there will be preventative measures, but I don't like to approach problems in that way. I would say let's make it more positive. You know how we're always talking about reparations? If we notice that there's groups out there that's kind of gaining on us in population, and we have the black state majority, you know what? As a state, we can actually give ourselves reparations legally. And you know where those reparations would come from? It'll come from every other group towards us, even the corporations that operate in our state. That's not controlled by us. Because wherever there's people, there's an economy. And I know Black and American Homeland says that a lot of people wouldn't want to live under our authority. That might be true, but there's going to be corporations that come because they want us to be their customers, regardless of who controls the state. And you know what? They'll have to pay more in taxes if they want us as customers. They'll have to pay towards reparations or a better, higher quality of life for the black citizens in that state, because we will get reparations legally, given to us by the courts. So I'm just approaching these issues in a more positive manner. There's so many ways and so many policies we can set in place to benefit ourselves without being punitive against other people overtly.
I appreciate that, Bill Muffet. Also, I like to talk more and more in upcoming spaces about, the positive aspects of us having state power. Just the whole shift in consciousness that you kind of hinted at. I talked about that a couple times, the zeitgeist of the way we think versus the way they think, and where we could take this and how that can affect the rest of the country, let alone the rest of the world. Because look how we set the tone for everything. I know it's kind of, patting ourselves on the back and philosophical, but what we do with so little we had, but imagine when we have the power and authority of the state, what we can do. I know I did a post funded socially where over there in the UK, they have those wind turbines all the way out in the ocean. Can you imagine if we had something like that also in other means to really change the face of how things operate? And I know that that'll take time. It won't be something we'll probably see in our lifetime, but it will be headed in that direction, and it will affect the rest of the country. But I appreciate that, Bill, brother. I'm there with y'all 100%. Don't think I'm trying to be negative. I want to really talk about how we cannot be welfare queens like a lot of these states are to the federal government. We need to be as independent from them as possible. Let's get some spaces like that going in the future, if y'all will.
Hey, black. I was saying that with Hispanics, as they get more Americanized and more into the American culture, and by generation, their birth rate declines too. And they also they make up a huge portion of the LGBTQ community too. So eventually, could we see a population of them decline?
You talking about the Hispanic population?
Yeah, as they get
Look, okay, in the future, they expect the Hispanic population, like in Venezuela, Colombia, Chile, Uruguay, all those countries, their population is going to go into decline in the next 20, 30 years. Also, it's happening in Asia, China, Japan, South Korea. Their population is declining. They expect China to go from 1.3 billion people to 800 million people in about 30, 40, 50 years. So, and look, in Japan, their population, 130 million, they can have less than 80 million people in 30 years. So, Asia population is declining. Also, Asia, there are a lot of countries like Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, Malaysia, their economy is going toward being first world. So I don't see the Asian population migrating to the United States as much as now. So I know for a fact the Asian population would never overtake the black population in the United States, because in Asia, their population is declining and their economies are getting better and better. Africa, they are expected to have 45% of the world population by 2080, 2090.
Yeah.
And look, the African population, they're going to go into Europe, they're going into South America, and they're going to North America, they're going to the Middle East. Man, it's possible that there can be a huge black African population in 4 different continents, like the white supremacy had back in the early days. You know, they had Australia, United States, South America, Europe, and they had some power in Africa, right? You know, South Africa, Kenya, Angola. But guess what? I can see 4 continents being, you know, having very huge black population in the next 50 to 60, 70 years.
Oh, Lord, please don't let them come over to the Western Hemisphere.
The Western Hemisphere, like, you know, South America is the Western Hemisphere. They coming. Canada, they coming.
Deportations, that's if they allow them, but deportations could fix that.
See, this is what's happening, right? As these Western countries, as their population decline, right? The problem, their concern is the economy. Okay, we need people to be workers. We need labor. We need consumers. We need military men of age, right? Their only place is going to be Africa in the next 50, 60 years. They already talking about this. The European country, they already know that they're going to be dependent on their African population to keep their economy growing in the next 40, 50 years. They're already talking about that. So look, so what I do is, right, I like to project. I like to see what's going on in the next 50, 60, 80, 100 years. That's the way I think. I don't think what's going on today. I project, and I try to figure out what's going to happen in the next 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 years. That's the way I think.
Man, wow.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys, I'm being boring.
Nah, you fine, man.
I'm enjoying the conversation too. You know, pick up on a few things. But one of my questions too is like us trying to be on code and different things. Are we at such a dire straits now that it really doesn't matter what platform we speak on or what we talk about? I mean, I know there are really fine, intricate things that we should discuss, elsewhere. But as far as like even the master plan, is this the platform, or does it matter what we talk about?
It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters. It doesn't matter where we speak strategies, because number one, we have to get the word out to our people, right? And social media seems to be the number one arena to do that. And also, look, the State Department, right? I live overseas. The State Department, they already know that the number one thing foreigners want to do is come to the United States. They've been doing this for 30, 40, 50 years, but they can't do anything. They can't stop illegal aliens from coming into the United States. They can't stop it. Also, the the states cannot stop Black Americans from migrating from one state to another state. They can't stop us. We are citizens. Yeah, you had another angle to it?
I mean, yeah, they can stop immigrants from coming. I don't mean like fist beat because they always gonna show up at the border, but like they can change laws and overturn things like birthright censorship, immigration programs, all that. Like they can do it, but they just won't.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Because look, China, right? They don't have foreign people in their country. Japan, they need immigration, but they don't want foreign people in their country. They can do what they want to, but the thing is, you have these corporations, right? They need consumers. They need laborers. So that's why I believe that immigration won't stop, because of the multinational corporations that are dependent on, if you look at it, like I said, we try to cross-reference scripturally. Borders were open, but yet there were still stipulations on aliens, as they would call, going into these areas. Even down to having certain illness. If you had like leprosy, you couldn't just willy-nilly on into some certain section or some city or whatever. You could. And then there were other little ways that you just could not just slide into a place and just be there without somebody having, like some kind of say, or somebody threatening you to, if you there on good measure, then you may be okay. But if you're not there on good measure, then they could kick you out, or or otherwise, what was that word? I can't even think of it right now.
Expulsion.
Well, it's along that line, but they got another word that they use for it. It's like when they excommunicate type of thing.
The courts?
Oh yeah, you talk about it like during after the Civil War. The United States, they expelled former Confederates out of the southern state. They had to leave the southern states and go to other states. They did all of that. I can't remember that word. Yeah, it's almost like expel. Yeah, I think I'm sorry about that, guys. But anyway, it's just things like that. Like when we cross-reference and we look up these laws and we see how archaic some of the laws are, and then we want to again cross-reference with scripture to find out how we should treat foreigners or otherwise aliens, and so we have all these things in question, because like somebody mentioned earlier, it's not just going to be all black people. There are going to be people who are white people, or that they don't mind living around black people. For whatever phenomenon that is, there's some. Yeah, there are. I mean, and I'm not saying those are, the good, happy people or whatever. I guess it's just white people who really just don't give two fucks one way or the other, really, so. Hey, look, I'm going to drop something on you, right? I lived in South Africa, right, 1994, 96, right? And I remember this very racist white dude, right? He said that he will never leave Africa or South Africa, because if he goes to Europe, there's nothing to distinguish him from a European from himself. He'd rather stay in Africa, South Africa, even though he's a minority, but he'd rather stay there because at least there's something that he can. I can't remember the word he used, but I mean, it's just something that the Afrikaners, right? Because that's what they call the white people there. Their culture is to stay together, to unite, and black people are the Africans are their enemies, right? However, if they go to Europe, right, they will totally lose all of that because now they don't have nothing to unite their Afrikaner population. So, yeah. So I believe the most conservative white people and the most liberal white people would stay in a supermajority black state. That's what I believe.
Some of them just obsessed, like just love being around us, but hate us at the same time. That's right.
They don't know what to do.
Jerry, just real quick. Hey, everybody say a prayer for News Title Pops. He had to go into the hospital real quick for emergency surgery, so hope all is well and shit, know what I mean? But getting the Jumbotron right here, and fourth on the right-hand side, do you agree with the LA Times article about Black Americans discriminated against Black immigrants? Hit that poll up. Let me know what you think of it real quick. But go ahead, Black America Online.
You want me to address that question about the LA Times?
It's a poll, a News Title poll. You know what I mean? Right there.
Okay.
You find fourth from the right-hand side dot. And it says, do you agree with the LA Times article about Black Americans discriminating against Black immigrants? And if you keep scrolling over, and the actual article is, what is that? 1, 2, 3, about like number 10, 1, what is that? 1, 2, 3, 4.
Third one from the right.
7. It's the number 11. Number 11 in the middle. Okay, it's 11 from the right. 11 from the right. It's the actual article itself on newstitle.com, and it says the same thing. Hold up a minute. Oh, I went too far. Damn, I went too far. It says the same thing. Black immigrants face more discrimination in the U.S. The source is sometimes surprising. Newstitle.com/Black immigrant. So look at that too. And I was gonna read that, but go ahead, Black America. Finish your question.
I mean, that's possible. DJ, I just wanted to say that I did a news release yesterday, and a book release. I forgot what they call it, a book release or a book news release, whatever. And if you can go in my if someone can go in there and in my timeline and find like Fox 8 News or AP News or what's another one? Wavy TV 10. There's a few of these. If you can put that in the Jumbotron. But yeah, I just did a news release and yesterday and it was shocking. I live in a foreign country, right? I had 10 of these people, these journalists or whatever. They calling me. They want to do an interview, right? Now look, this is my problem. I don't like doing interviews, right?
Check the Jumbotron, y'all, top left-hand side. It says visionary author Frederick A. Delk unveils revolutionary, what is it, a stratagem? That's how you pronounce it?
Yeah, correct.
Stratagem. And hold on, let's go to it. Hopefully y'all can still hear me. Hold on 1 second. Because it doesn't, I got to click into the article. Stratagem in black paper, Black America Homeland. Well, I'll post the Black America Homeland book to the Jumbotron too. Also, Black State book should be in the Jumbotron too. I believe. Hold on, let me go back over here. Did I put it in there? Check out Sister Empress tour, her Black American tour that she has in DC. If you ever in DC, Make sure y'all support our Black authors too. Black America Homeland and Black State Majority right here. Get the book, the Black Paper, get the book. Black Reparations, there you go. Go ahead, Black America.
I did sort of like a news release back in 2015, 2016, right? And I had people, they wanted to do an interview, and I declined everybody. I think that's the worst mistake I ever did. Because, you know, I'm a very, look, hey, Black, you remember,
hey, somebody got a mic. What's going on, man? There you go. Go ahead, Black American.
Like,
check your phone too, Black America Homeland. You see the Coles invite?
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Look, I don't like doing interviews. I'm a very what's that word? I'm an introvert, right? I rather, you know, kind of work on my own, right? You know, I love looking at numbers, right? I'm a type of person that, you know, I just be at my desk in front of my computer and I can spend, you know, hours and hours doing research and working with numbers and things like that. That's what I do. However, I feel like I do have to grow up. I have to speak to people. I have to, you know, if I want to convey this idea or this vision to the world, I have to talk to people, and I just have to just get out of this bubble of me being not wanting to speak to journalists or to reporters. That I have to get out of it. You know, the 2 years that I've been on Black's space kind of helped me out a lot. But I still have this reservation about doing speaking to people, but I just have to get out of it. And but that's why I love guys like Muffet and Sean, State Power, DJ, you guys, you guys kind of, if I have to get stuck, you guys kind of, come in and, kind of help me out, or especially Black, so so I'm just glad that I have this type of support that, so yeah, that's all I have to say. But look, I got to find the strength in me to do these interviews. So,
hey, if you get a chance, see if they'd be willing to give you the questions in advance, and then that way, you'd already basically have the answers prepared. Is what I would suggest.
Yeah. Actually, there is one that's an editorial. Basically, they give you the questions, and you just have to write in your answer. There's one of them. 1 out of 10 is like that. Yeah.
Hey, earlier, OG asked the question if this is the best platform to discuss our plans or strategy. And I just want to respond that this platform is good for outreach, to reach others who's unaware of what's being done or what we're trying to accomplish. But as far as more specific political strategy, Black has a space, it's called Funded Socially. And that would be the perfect place for us to direct message or interact with each other about the actual strategy, the first steps to get into one state like Delaware or another state like Mississippi, and also meeting in person. I prefer that because we're going to have to discuss stuff and plan on a personal level, and it would be best that not everyone is privy to what we're saying, because this is pretty much an open public space. So when it comes to like more in-depth planning, it's best to do it off this platform, on a space like Funded Socially, or directly with each other on like something like a Zoom call or in person.
Yeah, agreed. I think most of what we talk about is just general information. There's been so many articles written, the different books, Black American Homeland's book, my book, the Charles Blow book. This strategy is out in the ethersphere. People know about it. They're thinking about it. They're looking into it. And so we're not going to surprise anybody. You know, hundreds of thousands of people start moving into a state. That's very unusual behavior. And the census does track state to state migrations every year. That's a part of what they do. So they would pretty quickly realize what's going on. We start winning elections, et cetera, et cetera. So it's not like we're going to sneak up on these people. But to Muffet's point, the intimate details.
Yeah, you know, because we've been dealing with their best antagonism for years now. So, you know, there's nothing more they can throw at us. I mean, unless they just want to just annihilate the whole world, you know, which there have been predictions about that. You know, they would be the cause. Because we don't really want to annihilate the whole world, not us as a group. But there seems to be groups that would rather posture and say, well, if we can't have it or we can't be the leaders, then nobody's going to be the leader. And or they feel comfortable in these underground bunks, you know, that many of them have, you know, tried to. So, you know, there you have it. We come from exile, but we have no exile to go to.
Well, I welcome that. So in other words, whatever people want, you know, I want to be in a position to give it to them. If they want peace, give them peace. If they want war, give them war. But we got to get to that level. We got to get in the position to be able to give them what they want. I just don't have a problem with it. I don't think we should have a problem with it. I think we got to raise up like true warriors, a true warrior class that is ready to deal with whatever comes our way, because that's really what we're always going to be dealing with. Anywhere on the planet, anywhere a nation forms, it has to be able to defend itself, and that's just another part of taking responsibility of our existence, and that's really a part of it. So
yeah, share the room out, y'all. Social, SOXCIL.com, SOXCIL.com. Make sure y'all come up there, make an account. Shout out to Black America Homeland, finally made it up there too. All good, you know what I'm saying, in the hood. Word up on that one. Okay, hold on, let's get over here to this.
Yeah, no, I'm going to make it up there eventually too, DJ.
For sure.
Hey, let me chime in. Another good thing for these spaces and social media in general is just the philosophical idea that as Black people, we should want to govern ourselves and control our own destiny. We should understand that we have a stake in this country, and we should want to take our rightful place in this country. So these platforms are very good for that, to get that message out there, to draw people to you that never thought about it in those terms, and to draw people to you that thought about it in the terms that thought they were alone. So, yeah, I was the first part, I didn't think about it in those terms, and then until I started coming to these spaces, and I was like, damn. Over time, it started sinking in, like, you know what? This is our birthright. We should be doing this. This is the only thing we should really been focused on. All those other movements, the civil rights movements, all that other stuff, Democrat, this and that, that's inconsequential compared to what we're talking about now. Muffin touched on it earlier. This is, I think Professor Black Truth has said it before. He said the mission of the new black media is to take control of the discourse in the black community and then to elevate the debate. You can't elevate the debate any further than this. Sure, we have people talking about we should have our own country, but we know that those people are just talking. They're not trying to have their own country. We know if we try to have our own country, what that takes. This is far much easier. Like, in the simplest terms, all it takes is a set number of our people to migrate a state, and strategies we talk about, a state over. You could actually work in another state and live in Delaware. And we just need a set number of people to do that and vote for the people that we put in place and that are standing, doing work for our interests, and that's all it takes. We just do that over a certain period of time. Sure, there will be obstacles, but we'll get over them. We'll go through them, or we'll go around them, or dig under them. And it can be done with no bloodshed. We don't have to pick up arms and take over the government and storm the Capitol like J6 did. All we have to do is get enough of our people to move and vote. It's fucking simple. It's not easy, but it's simple. And I'll end.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I know you said it's simple, bro, but, you know, a lot of folks make it complicated, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, make it simple, not complicated. What's up, sister?
So, hey, y'all, I just want to come back in this space because I feel like it was rude. I had a call and I had to drop down. I am going to bed, but I think this is a great space. I feel y'all are very intellectual about the conversation, and it's a real respectful room. I learned a lot tonight. It was a really nice experience. So I just wanted to come back and be like, my bad for just dropping out. I had a call, but I also wanted to say good night to everybody, and peace, power, and reparations to you all.
Peace, power, reparations to you.
Oh, that was sweet. Good night. We appreciate it.
You gotta be more feminine and shit, Empress. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I appreciate that feminine energy, man. Y'all don't understand, man. That's dope. We love it. Thank you. Have a good night.
Shout out to our sister Empress, the Tuesday tea, and the liquor store movies, and the liquor store treasurer. There you go. That's the boss lady right there. She cut the check. You need the money, talk to her. You know what I'm saying? She cut that check, nigga. You know what I mean?
Don't forget to subscribe. Channel Raw TV, baby.